We've got to Rhodes today. We've made our way down the coast from the airport, the international airport in the north, which is largely unaffected. Some people have been evacuated there, but we've come to the south where 10% of the island is a small part of the island that's affected, but nevertheless it's having an impact on tourism here and also on the people who live here. Of course, we can speak now to Donna Downing, who, Donna, just talk us through what the last 5 days have been like for you. You arrived on Saturday, right?
Yeah. We arrived Saturday. Our flight left London at 8 a.m. And we arrived to find we couldn't actually get here on the road to start with because the police had blocked the roads due to fires, which we knew nothing about before we left home. And then when we got here, we see the fires were burning, and we unpacked, went out for dinner, and came back, and then went to sleep. And we basically got a government warning to evacuate. So we were evacuated to a school in the north of the island, which had no running water, no aircon, where we slept the night. But there was no sign of any TUI reps or any other holiday reps. I think there were various holiday companies, people in there. And we were sort of just left to our own devices, not really knowing what was going on. So it was quite scary. We didn't know if we was going to be there for 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights or whatever. Yeah. A TUI rep arrived on the Sunday morning, but she didn't really have any information. So we made a decision, because we actually had a car as well, we didn't have to rely on the coaches, to come back to the hotel, though the hotel weren't too keen because it was sort of against government advice. But we decided it was the best option because we would actually have a bed and a pool rather than be in the school with nothing. So we came back, and the fires, we haven't really had any electricity or water. It's on and off all the time. Mainly the water's been off. So that's been quite difficult, but we just feel safer here that we've actually got a bed, and the hotel staff have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And to be fair to TUI, they would say that, you know, their safety was their #1 priority. That's why they've increased the number of reps who you've seen today and who you've spoken to, and the company has given you options, including taking one of those repatriation flights, I assume.
Yeah, so today, this is the first time we've actually seen reps properly that have had some kind of answer for us. So today we've been given the option of flying home, going in another hotel, but it'd be north of the island, or staying put and just dealing with the no water and electricity as it comes and goes, because they can't guarantee when that comes back on. The problem with that is they're not telling us where we might go or when. So
it sounds like you're just going to stay put for now.
We're just going to stay put for now. Yeah. So it's just the uncertainty, really.
Yeah. Okay. But generally, you're feeling better about the way TUI have dealt with it.
Yeah, today, definitely. They actually had some resolution today, whereas leading up to that, we've just sort of been a bit left in the dark, really. Okay.
And we've just seen the fire burning in the distance there. That's the fire that was covering you in ash yesterday. It's still going 10 days later. Yeah, that's it. There you go. So that's it. Thank you, Donna. Appreciate your time there. Donna Downing, who's from Essex. So, look, that's the situation here at the moment. And as I say, TUI would stress that their priority is their customer safety. That's why they evacuate everyone from the area in the first place. They have put more reps on the island, and they're encouraging anyone to get in touch with their reps, to consult the app, to go on their social media channels, and to take one of those options that they are giving to customers on the island.
Yeah, Paul, I must need to give my glasses a wipe. I can't see that fire in the background, but I'll take your word for it. Let me just ask you this very quickly. What is the situation there in terms of arson? You know, I'm hearing lots of people saying that this situation has been caused by an arsonist, or perhaps plural. Have there been any arrests or any updates on that respect in Greece?
No, not that we've heard of. We've heard reports as well, and people suggesting they are arsonists, but we cannot say categorically that the authorities have said that's how the fire has started, not as far as I've heard. Certainly we can say that the ongoing hot weather, the heat waves, have contributed to it. So quite possibly the fires were started by somebody, but then of course the conditions you have here with the length, the frequency and the intensity of the heat waves, and there's another one on the way, it's going to be 37 here tomorrow, means that it doesn't take much to get those fires started once they are. I was talking to one chap at the top of the hill who works in the Greek tourist industry. He says, yeah, we're used to these fires. yeah, we get them every year. Nothing like this on this scale. So it is something that they're having to cope with. It's affecting 10% of the island. It is disrupting the local economy, the local tourist economy. But as I say, when you go to the north of the island, you wouldn't even know that there are any fires.
All right, interesting stuff. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I mean, I am watching that. I'm watching Paul on the tiniest of screens. So perhaps there was a big fire in the background. So if anyone's sitting at home going, "Is Michelle blind?" I am looking at on a tiny monitor. But what do you make to this? I was about to go in, but what do you think?
I think, and I'd be very interested to see subsequent analysis of Greek government forestry policy, that this could well be not just a combination of the mixed reports of saying there might be 2 arsonists in different places, as there is the recent report of an arsonist possibly starting fires in Canada, as there was in California in 2021. But with the Californian and Australian wildfires in 2021, what exacerbated them was really bad climate policy. So if you want to say that climate change has created the conditions where it's a big tinderbox, sure, could well be. But it's also that a lot of the time, in response to climate change, what they do is they say, oh, we need to rewild areas and we need to make room for nature. And they don't do dieback burning, they don't get rid of loads of the deadwood on the floor, and to plant loads of trees, import loads of flammable trees like eucalyptus from Australia to California is what happened. The whole thing goes up. And so largely, it's probably been exacerbated by government mismanagement.
What do you think, Michael?
I mean, potentially there's some truth to that. I mean, I think if you're seeing increased wildfires everywhere, which is what we're seeing, it's probably something which applies to everywhere. So I think that's why climate change is the most persuasive cause here, because it would have to be the case that every country, every continent had been doing these bad practices when it comes to wildfire management. Yeah, but when you're seeing a trend everywhere, I think you probably want to look for a global cause. And we have a global cause ready-made for us, which is climate change. We have seen this month, and one of the early weeks of this month, the hottest day on record. It was broken the following day. So Monday was the hottest day on record. Tuesday was hotter than the Monday, and Thursday was hotter than the Tuesday.
So let me ask a
so we're seeing incredibly
this.
Hot temperatures, and I think basically all scientists agree that's what we're seeing with these wildfires. Let me ask an
important question, because I keep hearing this stat all the time. We're seeing the hottest day on record since records began. You're going to die, basically, in your sleep because you're going to sweat and all the rest of it. Let me just ask you this. When we say, well, not we, you, when you say it's the hottest day since records began, have there been any changes since in the way that temperature has been measured since records began?
I am not an expert on sort of weather stations, so I'd be unable to say. But what I would say is that...
I'll tell you why I'm asking, because I thought, and anyone out there that is an expert, you feel free to correct me, I'm sure you will. I thought that previously the temperature was recorded, I think it was about 2 metres above sea level or something like that. So you was getting a gauge of an air temperature. Then I thought, and I could be wrong, and I stand corrected if I am, I thought that there'd been a change in the way that temperature had been measured, which is now more surface temperature, which therefore would make sense that actually, since records began, you're seeing these massive temperature rises. Any truth in that?
As I say, I don't know how these weather measurement systems work. What I would say is there's an agreement, basically, between all the major institutions as to when it comes to measuring the weather. And also, you're talking about measuring sort of the temperature with technologies that we might have. Now, we're also seeing many other things which correspond with higher temperatures, right? So the Antarctic sea ice is currently 10% below it's ever been. Now, there isn't many ways that you can measure the Antarctic sea ice and say, oh, we've changed the measurement level, because you can see it from satellites. So I think...
I don't know, by the way. Yeah. I'm genuinely... Because when I hear this statement all the time, it's the hottest day since records began. Well, I am no expert, but I would assume that measuring techniques and all the rest of it have evolved since whatever records began. So that's just my question. Have we changed it? Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. I don't know. It's just my question that I have. If any of you do know the answer to that, get in touch and let me know. Have we used the same measure, the temperature measure, ever since? I've got to say... this whole heat wave. I was in Spain very briefly last week, and yeah, it was quite warm. But I don't mean to be funny, but that's what you go to Europe for. You want it to be quite hot, don't you? Or maybe I am missing something. You guys, I'm sure, will get in touch and tell me your thoughts on the weather situation. Is it climate entirely? Is climate change perhaps just a part of it, or not in your mind? Your thoughts, if you will, GBviews at gbnews.com.